For the beam sword, I actually don't have any display settings set. You'll see that everything is set to 0. Display settings are basically how your character holds stuff, right? So you're gonna have to want to set this in a custom way. But I don't have anything set, as you could see, right? I have everything set to 0. And that's because I am parenting my model, okay? So that's a technique that I guess we'll get into right now. So if you open this JSON file with Notepad++, that's another program I use. I'll go into that in a minute. You'll see that the model file contains a parent little line of code. And this is going to be essential knowledge for you too, okay? You're going to need to know how to open these files and at least how to insert lines. Like what if you have a model file and it doesn't have a parent line? Then the easiest way for me to do it is just to open the JSON file in a text editor like Notepad++. It's more of a code editor, and just insert a line yourself. So you're going to want to become really familiar with the formatting in models. For that, obviously, you can just look at, again, MyPack, or you look at the default textures, which I also have extracted. I find it very essential. Sometimes even for textures, right? I like to look at the default textures just for palette references. Vanilla Minecraft has a lot of great palettes that I want to tap into, especially for my vanilla style pack, right? So I also have a copy of the default assets. Also useful for block states and item states to just see what sort of stuff is possible. For example, if we open the chest item state, it's gonna give away that Minecraft has the ability to add date dependent textures. It's really useful. And yeah, the parenting thing that I did for the beam sword, basically what it means is if it parents a different model, it's gonna take all the information from that model and then only override the information it has here. So in this case, it's a lot of information because it's a lot of elements, and even some display settings for the GUI and for fixed, which means in an item frame. Nothing else. So you could also see that represented in Blockbench, right? When I go to the display settings for third person right hand or third person left hand, you'll see that everything is set to 0. It looks completely whack, but that is because it is parenting a different model. This is beam sword sharpness 5 for my beam sword rename, and when it's enchanted with sharpness 5, it gets longer. And it's parenting the normal beam sword, right? So not beam sword underscore sharpness underscore 5. It's just parenting beam sword. And then we'll open that model as well in Blockbench, right? The regular beam sword without the sharpness 5. And we'll see that this one has the correct display settings in the third person, right hand, first person, everything. And because of the line of parenting code that I have in the sharpness 5 file, it's gonna take that information from this file, and then I don't need to include it here, which just makes the file more optimized, okay? It's a bit cleaner, and it's just useful knowledge that you should also know. And you can also use Blockbench to open models that parent the built-in generated model. And the built-in generated model is an amazing model that Mojang has. In my pack, a lot of stuff uses it. For example, let's look at a model that I have for the written book, right? It's just a flat sprite of a written book that has more in it, right? If you write more pages in it. Very simple texture pack feature. And the model is very simple as well. It's parenting the item generated model. And the item generated model is obviously item slash generated. So it's in the item folder and it's called generated. It's a very special model in Minecraft as well. And we can open it. And that one is parenting built-in generated, except it adds some display settings, right? And the built-in generated model is a model that we can't access or open, right? And that's a model that will automatically turn your flat item sprites 3D, right? If you make a texture pack, you have a netherite sword texture, but in game it is like 3D cubes. That's not because I like went in there and made this 3D sword. It is because my sword texture parents the built-in generated model. Ultimately, it goes through this item generated model first, so it adds some display settings, right? So your sword in your hand won't be massively whack. It'll look like the way an item is supposed to look in your hand. But yeah, that's how it does it. There's a built-in generated model in Minecraft. And what's sweet about Blockbench is that it can also open those. So we have this bulging written book model that I have in my texture pack, and then if we drag that into Blockbench, it's not going to allow us to edit it because you can see here it has this special puzzle piece right here instead of model elements, and this represents the built-in generated model. So don't mess with this, don't unlock this little key lock, just keep it right there, but it will load up your flat texture in 3D. But the most important part is going to be display settings. If you're not parenting the item generated model, which will give it automatic display settings to make any item look like, well, the default item. Blockbench also has that built in. You can apply presets, right? So if you want like the default item, but slightly higher, for example, right? But otherwise have it be exactly consistent. You can also use Blockbench presets. But yeah, huge. You understand parenting now. So you parent the built-in generated model, which automatically makes your sprite 3D. And then Blockbench just supports that, right? Like don't try to add elements to this. Like that's not going to work. If you want to do this, you can do that with composite models, which I'll also go into later. Composite models will allow you to add multiple models together, including a built-in generated model and just any 3D model that you can make with these cubes in Blockbench, right? So, but don't add any cubes in Blockbench, all right? If you're opening a model that parents the built-in generated model. Yeah, use it to set your display settings, which means how an item appears in item frames and such, even in the GUI, on the ground, everywhere. Make it look however you want. And then the last thing I can think of to mention about the built-in generated model is what if you want to make large flat generated items, right? Like spears is a new vanilla item. It doesn't get a model, we know, where it's made out of little cubes. It's a flat sprite and the game automatically makes it 3D with the built-in generated model, alright? So let's just load up my netherite spear model and we're gonna see that it works, but it makes it extra thick. The pixels on the z-axis are much thicker than the pixels on the y-axis. It's gonna make it weirdly thick, but you can also fix that. Actually, you have to fix that with display settings, alright? And the way to do that, you just take the z-axis and you make the weapon in the scaling category, right? You make it half as thick. So the scaling for a default weapon sets the size to 0.85. We can see that too if we apply the preset default weapon. But it's gonna make our spear really small and thick, right? It looks kind of weird. I mean, no offense, but, you know, whatever gets the job done. But I would imagine this does not quite get the job done. So yeah, you want to increase the length, double the length, which in the case of 0.85 is of course 1.7. And yeah, that's how you do it if you want to make big item generated models. And you can do it in Blockbench. You just save it and then the file will be updated to have these custom display settings. Pretty cool, right?